Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, let's go all the way back to 2001 and take a look at every year's footballer who everybody has forgotten actually contributed to a Premier League title win that year. Now, some of these contributions are minimal. Maybe a game here or there, or even just sitting on the bench. But yeah, I'm going to take a look at the forgotten player who everyone forgets was part of a Premier League winning dressing room. Right, let's go. 2001, David Healy. David Healy is a perfect example of a bang average journeyman striker who seemed to morph into Ronaldo on the international stage. Price him up, this guy scored 36 for Northern Ireland, including a record 11 goals in the Euro 2008 qualifying. Lads, he was scoring winners against England and hat-tricks against Spain, just utterly mental. But at club level, he was a 10-goal-a-season striker at Preston, flopped at Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Ipswich, Doncaster Rovers and Bury. Anyway, he actually played one Premier League match for Man United during the title-winning 2000-2001 campaign, and actually hit the post against Ipswich on his debut when he was just 21 years old. 2002-2003, Danny Pugh. Yeah, Danny Pugh's career will be best remembered for his time at Stoke in the Premier League, or maybe slumming it with Leeds in the Championship. Well, the journeyman midfielder actually began his career at Old Trafford, making his debut by replacing Ryan Giggs in a 1-0 win over Spurs. Don't get it twisted, he had the first touch of wet salmon, and the only way he'd have ended up the successor to David Beckham at Old Trafford would be if a nuclear bomb had wiped out 90% of the world's population of footballers. 2003-2004, David Bentley. When you think of the Invincibles, you think of Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, Patrick Vieira. You don't envision the walking lump of wet Brill cream that was David Bentley. I talked about Pugh potentially replacing Beckham at Old Trafford. Yes, just laughable. But after hat-trick against Man United for Blackburn, every journalist in England was tipping Bentley to be the next Beckham. But yes, this Tottenham reject began his career at Highbury and played 8 games for the Arsenal first team during that glorious season, including half an hour in the Premier League against Portsmouth in May 2004. People forget, this guy actually shared a dressing room with Thierry Henry. 0405, Stephen Watt. Most of you won't have a clue who Stephen Watt is. Well lads, despite the millions of pounds pumped into Chelsea with Roman Abramovich, Jose Mourinho was still forced to pick a future Ross County, Grimsby and Leatherhead defender in the Premier League. Yeah, in May 2005, with the title all sewn up, 20-year-old Watt came on in the 89th minute for Yuri Yarosik in a 1-0 draw at Newcastle. Yeah, he's only on the pitch for 1 minute, but Christ above, they were probably the best 60 seconds of his life. Anyway, yeah, look at Watt's CV. Just like Joel McElderry, this man's career peaked at 20 years of age. What is it with Scottish footballers called Watt peaking at a ridiculously early age? 0506, Carlton Cole. When you think of Mourinho's second title-winning season, you think about him juggling both Drogba and Hernan Crespo up front. Carlton Cole, that future West Ham lump, doesn't even come into the equation. But yeah, he somehow played 12 times that season, including 9 times in the league, and even scored against Huddersfield in the FA Cup. Everyone forgets that yes, Cole was actually a Premier League winning centre forward. Sort of. 0607, Ryan Shawcross. If the Premier League was like a fairy tale, then Ryan Shawcross would be that gruesome two-headed troll that lives under the bridge. For 12 years, he's been that unfashionable lump of defensive meat at Stoke. Basically, the Premier League's answer to an orc, a snarling beast of a footballer who would probably stamp on his granny's skull if it meant getting 3 points at the weekend. Anyway, it feels like he's been at Stoke since the dawn of time, but lads, he's actually been in a Premier League winning dressing room. That year, Man United clawed their way back to being top dogs in England, with Rooney and Ronaldo destroying defences across the country. Shawcross was 19 and playing for the first team in the League Cup against Crewe in Southend before being loaned out to Royal Antwerp in January. Lads, if Gerard Piqué couldn't make it as a defender at Old Trafford that year, then what chance did a future Stoke defender have? 0708, Danny Welbeck. Yeah, Man United's League and Champions League winning team of 2008 is often seen as one of the greatest club sides of all time, right? A rock-solid defensive unit sprinkled with utter world-class talent going forward, like Rooney, Ronaldo and Carlos Tevez. Nobody ever associates that team with Danny Welbeck, and rightly so. He barely played, but he was given one game. Midway through the season in January 2008, in a testimonial game against Al Hilal out the backers of Saudi Arabia, when he came on for Anderson in the 65th minute, won a last-minute penalty that would have equalised the game before spooning his spot kick over the bar as Man United lose 3-2. That United team made a 30-hour return trip to Saudi Arabia in the middle of January, only to see a teenage Welbeck stick a penalty into orbit. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if they made him take the bus home after that. 0809, Danny Drinkwater. Yeah, the Man United title-winning team of 2009 was all about Ronaldo's final season, Federico Makeda's dramatics. No love is ever shown towards Danny Drinkwater. Now, when he yanked the trophy over his head for Leicester, you'd assume that was the first time he'd ever been anywhere near a title celebration. Well, no. I mean, to be fair, the 19-year-old midfielder didn't play a single minute for the first team that season, but he did sit on the bench for their final game of the season at Hull. No, he didn't get on the pitch, but lads, simply sharing a dressing with the likes of Gary Neville, Nani and Darren Fletcher was probably enough to make him cry tears of joy. Price him up, the fact Sir Alex Ferguson even acknowledged his existence 3 days before the club's Champions League final. Oh, he probably thought he'd made it. 0910, Fabio Borini. Everyone remembers Carlo Ancelotti's title-winning Chelsea team for the 100+ goals they slammed home that season. Nobody ever remembers Fabio Borini was part of that. Lads, he played 8 first-team games that season, including 4 in the Premier League. He was only 19 and was tipped as one for the future. Yeah, he's since carved out an impressive CV that would look good on Instagram. Chelsea, Roma, Liverpool, AC Milan, great, historic clubs, but he was a flop at every single one. This is a 29-year-old striker who's still waiting to score 10 goals in a season. How the hell was he seen as the heir to Didier Drogba? 10-11, Owen Hargreaves. Yeah, this is the year where Man United took the title back from Chelsea with relative ease. Everyone forgets, but Owen Hargreaves was still at the club. Yeah, he only played once and mostly spent the season nursing a knee clearly made of spaghetti. But lads, he played 10 minutes against Wolves. His contribution was virtually nil. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson could have probably put his own mother onto the pitch for 10 minutes against Wolves and they'd still have won the league, but still, it counts. 11-12, Denis Suarez. Denis Suarez is going to have a hard time convincing his grandkids that he ever played with England. He's basically a forgotten footnote at both Man City and Arsenal. But yeah, back in 2012, when City won their first league title, he was a promising teenage midfielder who did make his first team debut in a 5-2 win against Wolves in the League Cup that season. He was even awarded the club's Young Player of the Year award. So yeah, during that famous title win in 2012, Denis Suarez was around the first team for that. I remember watching him live in the flesh in a pre-season friendly against Limerick. I didn't know his name, he just looked like some X Factor boy band reject, but I remember thinking, what a player. But then again, he was only playing against lads I went to school with. 12-13, Josh King. Josh King probably hates his life right now. Ever since leaving Norway at 16, he was dreaming about playing for Man United. Now he's 28 and stuck in the championship with Bournemouth, but last January he was so close to taking Odion Gallo's place as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last gasp desperate planning by. Anyway, he was actually around the Man United first team the last time they won the league. Sort of. Okay, he mostly spent the 12-13 season on loan at Blackburn, but hey, he did sit on the bench in the League Cup win over Newcastle and was given 5 minutes in the Champions League away at Galatasaray in November. He didn't contribute much, but hey, it counts. 13-14, Emir Hughes. Yeah, Emir Hughes is a 27-year-old Welsh midfielder at Ipswich. To think he'd ever been able to make it in Man City's midfield is utterly laughable, right? Well, back in 2014, when they won the title under Manuel Pellegrini, he was 20 years old and yeah, came on as a sub in the 5-0 FA Cup replay win against Blackburn. Sticking his former Wigan midfielder on the same pitch as Sergio Aguero, Edin Dzeko and Fernandinho, Christ above, he probably looked more at a place than had done in a strip club. 14-15, Mo Salah. So last season was Mo Salah's first ever Premier League medal, right? No, people forget, but he actually slightly contributed to Jose Mourinho's last title win in 2015. I mean, he was only given 8 minutes against Swansea, 4 against Crystal Palace, and 18 in that 5-3 defeat at Spurs, where Harry Kane milked the Chelsea defence like a cow. He was left on the bench 6 times and left out of the squad entirely 14 times. I love Jose, but he'd rather have had Loic Remy and Antoine Sherlock on the bench than Salah? What? The Egyptian was seen as the next Juan Cuadrado. Just another joke, unfit for the Premier League and loaned out to Fiorentina in February. But hey, he was still promised a Premier League winners medal by the club.
Mohamed Salah has more Premier League winners medals than Steven Gerrard, despite playing 30 minutes this season.
See, the media are actually using the prospect of Salah owning a Premier League medal to be an embarrassing slight on Stevie G. This was more ways they could try and humiliate the Liverpool captain. Christ, you'd swear Salah was Danny Simpson based on that headline. 15-16, Ben Chilwell. Everyone can reel off that set-in-stone title-winning Leicester team under Claudio Ranieri, right? And Ben Chilwell was nowhere near it. Most people assume he only came on the scene in 2018. No, technically he was already part of that Premier League winning squad. He was a raw 19-year-old left-back and sat on the bench for 9 Premier League matches and started 3 games in both cup competitions. Being a part of that title-winning dressing room when he was a teenager, it must have been an adrenaline rush, but Christ above, he was probably praying for Christian Fuchs to eat a bowl of dodgy lasagna, anything to get him on the pitch. With all the crazy prices chucked to the Leicester players that summer, to think that the second most expensive member of that squad would end up being the substitute left back? Mental. 16-17, Nathan Ake. Lads, Nathan Ake has already won the league. Sort of. Christ above, even Antonio Conte's probably forgotten who he is, but yeah, at 22, this Dutch defender played 5 games for Chelsea that season, including the entire FA Cup semi-final win over Spurs. 17-18, Tom Dele Bashiru. Ah yes, Pep Guardiola's first league title win in England, when Man City crushed pretty much everyone. Tom Dele Bashiru is a 21-year-old midfielder struggling to cut out Watford, but listen, he played a small part in the historic City season, coming on for extra time of that EFL Cup win over Leicester in December 2017. Given a taste of first team action in a world-class team, oh, he was probably dreaming of becoming the next Yaya Toure. Yeah, no, he's not even the next Tom Cleverley. 18-19, Ian Poveda. Yeah, Ian Poveda is a 20-year-old attacking midfielder for Leeds, right? A guy who's already got Chelsea, Arsenal, Barcelona, Brentford and Man City on his CV. 7 clubs by the age of 20. Christ above, he's more impatient than Lassana Diarra. Anyway, yeah, that year City pulled off that incredible comeback to pip Liverpool to the title. Poveda was given his debut in an EFL Cup semi-final win over Burton. 19-20, Lewis Longstaff. I don't think there's too many forgotten players on Liverpool's title-winning squad last season, but when anyone hears the word Longstaff, they think of the 2 Geordie brothers. Nobody ever mentions Lewis Longstaff, the only Longstaff to win the Premier League. Sort of. A 19-year-old midfielder from Darlington, who actually came through the Newcastle youth system as well. Christ above, how are they not related? He played for the Liverpool first team in the EFL Cup in that 5-0 quarter-final defeat to Aston Villa, where the grown men of Villa actually celebrated for beating up a bunch of kids. And with that said, lads, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.